In the race for the Republican nomination, the Tea Party wants an economic hawk. Social conservatives want a fighter on prayer and abortion. Supporters say that Texas Governor Rick Perry is both. Matt Mackowiak is a Republican strategist and former press secretary to Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison and is just back from Austin, where he's been reading the tea leaves. Matt, great to see you. You worked for Senator Hutchison here on the Hill. You were not part of the campaign against Rick Perry, but you're certainly not aligned with him. You're not come from his camp. But if you could take a step back and just take a look at who is Rick Perry and what does he represent? Tell us about where you think he comes down.
Well, I think you got to start by recognizing he's governor of the second largest state for 11 years now. He's won a statewide election in Texas 5 times. He's never lost an election. He is someone that I think would unify both social conservatives and the Tea Party. I think he'd be a very strong candidate in both Iowa and South Carolina. And so I think if our Republican primary voters are not wanting to see Mitt Romney be the nominee, I think you can make a case that Rick Perry is the strongest candidate to beat Mitt Romney and become the nominee. Plus, you also have to remember the narrative that you have in Texas right now is very positive. Job growth, he's had a very successful session, pro-life legislation, border security, balanced the budget without raising taxes. So he has a real record to run on, and I think he is both electable as a nominee and electable as president. And I think he's probably the strongest candidate right now if he runs to defeat Romney for the nomination.
Now, at the same time, he's got this August 6th Christian prayer breakfast, which is certainly appealing to evangelicals, to social conservatives, but does he move too far to the right on the social issues to be a viable candidate if he were to be the nominee against Barack Obama? Is he more of a primary vote getter than a general election vote getter?
It's a good question. You know, I've never really quite understood all the controversy around this prayer event on August 6th. To me, it seems like encouraging people to pray is a good idea.
But there is the separation of church and state issue.
There certainly
it's labeled as a Christian prayer breakfast, and it is a government function rather than it being ecumenical.
That's true. That's true. Keep in mind what the timeline is here, okay? He was not planning on running for president. He did nothing to prepare for that. The opportunity came up. I think he's looking at it now very seriously. He has a special session that's ending this weekend in Austin. He's going to travel the country, meet privately with donors, see if he can raise the money. He's going to South Carolina on August 3rd to speak at the Red State Gathering in Charleston, South Carolina. It's the same day as the Ames straw poll. And then the prayer event is that weekend in Houston. So we're going to know, I think, in the next 4 or 5 weeks, potentially by the time of the next debate on July 10th, whether he's in or not. A month after, that's the straw poll. So he doesn't have a lot of time to consider this. Ultimately, I think he needs to understand, can he raise the money to run a good campaign, and can he actually win the nomination? There's really an opportunity for him right now based on his record, based on his background, and there's a real opening in the field, I think.
You think there's an opening in the field? You keep speaking of Romney as the man to beat, but what about Michelle Bachmann, very appealing, coming out of the New Hampshire primary? What about New Hampshire debate, rather? And what about John Huntsman just declaring today? There were certainly others, Pawlenty, others in the field.
Look at the field and tell me, is there someone that can win 2 of the first 3 states? The only person I can see that can do that is Rick Perry. I think Bachmann would be very strong in Iowa. I think Huntsman, I don't really know where he'd be particularly strong, where he could win. You know, Romney probably wins New Hampshire. If Perry jumps in, he has a good chance to win both Iowa and South Carolina and raise the money that he can compete with Romney. Whether Bachmann and Huntsman can raise that kind of money and win more than just 1 state, I don't know.
And of course, he'd be the only Southern candidate.
The only Southern candidate, too. And again, governor of the second largest state for 11 years with a really strong record. And he's a good speaker, and the Texas narrative is a real strength.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rick from Austin.